I always thought my wedding day would be the happiest moment of my life. But just one night before walking down the aisle, I overheard the man I loved tell his parents, "Claire is like a sister to me. Marrying her isn't about love, it's about the condo, the car, the money, the security. The woman I really want is Samantha." In that instant, my heart shattered and my entire world collapsed. You're listening to this story on Missreddit. If you love real-life dramas, raw, shocking, and unforgettable, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you won't miss the next episode. I stood in front of the bridal salon mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. The white lace gown hugged my figure perfectly, its long train spilling across the polished floor like a river of snow. For a fleeting moment, I felt like the princess I had once dreamed of being. My mother appeared behind me in the reflection, gently adjusting my veil with trembling hands, her eyes brimming with pride. "Claire," she whispered, "you look exactly like the little girl who used to dream of this day." I laughed softly, remembering myself at 10 years old, draping old curtains over my shoulders, declaring to anyone who'd listen that one day I would marry a prince. Back then, it was just a fantasy. But now, in that dress, I wanted to believe Jacob Whitfield truly was my prince. For 3 years, Jacob had been the perfect man, steady, charming, adored by my family. He never forgot flowers, never missed family dinners, always shook my father's hand with confidence. To them, he was the perfect choice. To me, he was the man who promised to make me the happiest woman alive. As the seamstress pinned the final hem, my mother clasped my hands. "Tomorrow, you'll be the most beautiful bride in Savannah." In her eyes, I didn't just see the dress, I saw the years of hope and love she had poured into me. On the ride home, she went through the checklist one last time. Flowers, cake, musicians, the reception for 40 guests. Everything was flawless. Even the honeymoon, Jacob insisted on keeping a surprise, something unforgettable, he promised. The whole town was buzzing with excitement. I told myself I was the luckiest woman alive, and yet, something unsettled me. Too perfect, I thought. Too perfect to be real. I laughed nervously, telling myself it was just bridal jitters. That night, back home, I carefully hung the gown in my closet, brushing the silk with trembling hands. Tomorrow, that dress would carry me into a new life. I caught my reflection again, pale and anxious. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to calm the unease. The phone rang. "Hey, sunshine." Jacob's voice came through, warm and reassuring. He told me he couldn't wait for tomorrow, couldn't wait to call me his wife forever. His words washed over me like a balm. For the moment, I believed him. But when the call ended, the unease returned. I slipped on a coat, told my mother I needed some air. The night air in Savannah was sweet with honeysuckle, neighbors waving and calling out blessings as I passed. I smiled, as if I truly was the luckiest bride in the world. When I reached Jacob's building, my hand rose to knock, then froze. His voice drifted through the thin door. "Mom, stop worrying. Everything's fine." His mother's voice trembled. "But Jacob, do you love Claire?" I held my breath, waiting for the answer. But Jacob chuckled, low and careless. "Claire, she's sweet, polite. But honestly, she feels more like a sister to me. This marriage isn't about love, Mom. It's about the condo, the car, her father's connections at City Hall, too valuable to pass up." The blood drained from my face. My chest tightened like it was being crushed. Then his father's voice chimed in, approving. You're making the right choice. She'll be a respectable wife. Stable. That's what matters." And then Jacob said the words that broke me completely. "Besides, Samantha Brooks is back in town. With her, I'll have passion. With Claire, I'll have security. Best of both worlds." Samantha. The name cut like a knife. I remembered her vaguely dark hair, stunning, the kind of girl who turned heads back in high school. And now, she had returned, stepping right into the place where my heart had once been. I stumbled back, my heels clattering against the steps as I fled into the night. Every whispered promise, every tender smile, every dream of the past 3 years shattered like cheap glass. I had heard everything, and I finally understood. Jacob had never loved me at all. The walk back home felt endless. Each step pounded like a drumbeat of betrayal in my chest. My whole body trembled as if the truth itself was poison seeping into my veins. When I slipped back inside the house, I forced a smile, muttered something about being tired, and hurried to my room before my mother could see the devastation etched across my face. Behind my door, the silence was unbearable. My wedding gown hung in the closet, glowing faintly under the dim light like a cruel joke. It was supposed to symbolize love, new beginnings. Now it mocked me. Just fabric waiting to bind me to a man who saw me as nothing more than a bargain. I lay on my bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. My mind replayed every moment with Jacob in brutal clarity. The times he dodged my calls, the way he pocketed his phone when I walked into the room, how he never once said "I love you" first. How could I have been so blind? 2 futures stretched before me, each one unbearable. I could stay silent, go through with the wedding, keep my parents' pride intact. The pictures would hang on our walls, the guests would clap and smile. My family would hold their heads high in Savannah society. But I would know. I would wake each morning next to a man who measured my worth like a ledger, who whispered passion to another woman while I pretended not to hear. Or I could run. I could destroy months of careful planning, break my parents' hearts, humiliate my family in front of the entire town. My mother's proud smile in the bridal salon, my father's careful arrangements, all of it would collapse because of me. I turned to the mirror. The woman staring back was pale, swollen-eyed, barely a shadow of the bride she was supposed to be. And yet, somewhere in that broken reflection, a spark flickered. A voice whispered, "You deserve more than this." By 4 a.m., I couldn't lie there any longer. My decision was made. I pulled a small travel bag from the closet, my hands shaking as I stuffed in only what mattered. My passport, some cash, the envelope meant for our honeymoon. Then, with tears streaming, I scribbled a note. "Mom, Dad, forgive me. I can't explain now, but I can't go through with this wedding. I love you. Claire." I placed the note on my pillow. For a long moment, I stood in the doorway of my childhood room, every piece of furniture heavy with memories. Then I turned away. Dawn was breaking as I stepped quietly out the front door, carrying the bag that suddenly felt heavier than stone. Behind me, the house slept in silence. My parents were still dreaming of a daughter walking down the aisle, not one running into the morning. The streets of Savannah were nearly empty. A milk truck rattled by, and somewhere, a church bell tolled 6. My heels clicked against the pavement as I made my way to the bus station. The air smelled of diesel and stale coffee as I approached the ticket counter. My voice trembled, but I managed. 1 ticket to Atlanta. The cashier slid the paper stub across the counter. Departure, 8 a.m., 2 hours. 2 hours until Jacob met Samantha. 2 hours until my parents found the note on my pillow. I stepped outside, clutching the ticket, and felt my whole body shudder. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking toward a carefully crafted future. I was walking into the unknown, terrified, but free. The bus ride to Atlanta felt like both an escape and a punishment. As the engine rumbled and the low-country scenery blurred past the window, I pressed my forehead against the glass, my reflection ghostly in the morning light. I was no longer a bride. I was a runaway clutching a small bag, with no plan beyond survival. Every bump in the road jarred my heart. Guilt swelled in waves. I imagined my parents waking up, finding my note, the disbelief in their eyes as they realized I wasn't coming. By then, guests would already be arriving, dressed in their best, flowers in hand. My mother's proud smile would vanish. My father's shoulders would stiffen in humiliation. And Jacob, how would he spin the story? That I was ill, that I panicked. Or maybe he'd let the truth twist into whatever version made him look like the victim. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. Savannah was already gossiping. I knew it. By sundown, every neighbor, every old friend would know that I'd left Jacob Whitfield at the altar. But the bus didn't care. It carried me farther and farther away until the familiar marshes gave way to highways and dense forests. By the time we rolled into Atlanta, the city loomed enormous, glass towers cutting into the sky. I stepped off the bus with my small bag in hand, swallowed by a rush of strangers. Their footsteps pounded the pavement with purpose, while I stood trembling, lost. The first night, I found a shabby boarding house near the edge of town. The landlady, still in her bathrobe, took cash without questions. My room was small, a single bed, a cracked dresser, a window overlooking a crooked oak tree. Nothing like the life I'd been promised. But it was mine. Lying in that bed, the silence felt heavier than the weight of the wedding gown I had abandoned. For the first time, I was truly alone. The next morning, reality struck. I had no job, no connections, and only a small stash of money meant for the honeymoon. The only work I'd ever done was at my father's office, answering phones, filing papers. Out here, none of that mattered. Still, I forced myself into the streets. I bought an old newspaper from a corner stand and circled job listings I barely understood. Every position seemed to demand experience I didn't have. My confidence crumbled with each line I read. By afternoon, I wandered into a crowded internet cafe, its windows fogged with heat from the old computers. A college kid noticed my hesitation and showed me how to search for jobs online, how to fill out applications. My fingers shook on the keyboard as I typed out a resume that looked painfully thin. Administrative assistant, 3 years. Would anyone in this city take that seriously, knowing it came from my father's firm? Still, I clicked submit again and again. 10 times, 15. My palms slick with sweat, my heart racing with every application. I felt like an imposter, pretending to be an adult in borrowed clothes. 2 days later, the phone in my tiny room rang. Ms. Mitchell, this is Caroline from Sterling Marketing. We received your application. Could you come in for an interview tomorrow morning? My breath caught. Yes, of course. The next morning, I stood outside a skyscraper that seemed to scrape the sky. My knees shook as I stepped into the lobby, clutching my borrowed handbag. In the mirrored elevator, I caught a glimpse of myself. Blouse neatly pressed, hair pulled into a bun, makeup carefully hiding the shadows under my eyes. I looked the part, but inside, terror clawed at me. The interview room was sleek, intimidating. A woman in a navy suit sat across from me, pen poised. "Tell me about your experience." My throat went dry. I spoke about handling clients, managing schedules half true, half stretched. I forced the words out, steady, even as my hands trembled beneath the table. Finally, she nodded. "We'll start you on a 3-month probation. The salary isn't much at first, but if you prove yourself, there's room to grow. Can you begin Monday?" I nearly wept with relief. Yes, absolutely. Walking out of that building, the sunlight felt different, warmer, sharper. It wasn't triumph, not yet, but it was the first fragile victory I had earned on my own. 3 months passed in a blur of exhaustion. I stumbled through mistakes, terrified that each one would expose me as a fraud. But little by little, I learned. I adapted. And by the end of the probation, my supervisor shook my hand. "Welcome to the team, Claire." For the first time in years, I felt I had built something by myself, with no more dowry, no family connections, no groom waiting at the altar. And just as I started to believe I could build a new life, Jacob returned. It was a Tuesday morning when the receptionist buzzed my desk. "There's a man here asking for you." I stepped into the hallway and froze. Jacob stood there, thinner, paler, holding a bouquet of white roses, my favorite. His eyes searched mine, uncertain, desperate. "Claire," he said softly, as though we were alone in a church instead of a bustling office. "I had to see you." The air left my lungs. For a heartbeat, I was back in Savannah, outside his door, listening to his laughter as he betrayed me. But this time, I straightened my spine. The sight of Jacob in that hallway knocked the breath out of me. For a second, I couldn't move. He looked so different, thinner, his suit a little too crisp, as if he had dressed for a performance, not a meeting. But the bouquet of white roses in his hands, they were the same kind he used to bring me. The kind I once pressed between book pages and kept for months. Now, they felt like props from a play I had already left behind. "Claire," he repeated, voice low and imploring, "please, just hear me out." The receptionist's curious eyes lingered a second too long before she looked away, leaving us standing there in the middle of the office corridor. I forced a breath. Fine. 5 minutes. We ended up in a quiet conference room, the hum of the air conditioner filling the silence. He set the flowers on the table between us like a peace offering. "I was a fool," he began, his voice cracking just slightly. "I said things I didn't mean. I thought marriage was about stability, about security. But when you left, I realized what I lost. Claire, I love you. Truly." The words should have moved me. Once they would have, but all I felt was a dull ache, like pressing on an old scar. I met his eyes. "Steady now. Stop. Don't lie to me again. I heard every word you said that night." His face drained of color. You heard?" "Yes." My voice didn't shake. "I heard you laugh when your mother asked if you loved me. I heard you call me a sister. I heard you talk about Samantha, how you planned to meet her the morning of our wedding." Jacob flinched as though I had struck him. "Claire, you don't have to explain." My tone was sharp, cold. "You didn't lose me because of one mistake. You lost me because you never saw me as anything more than a convenient deal. A condo, a car, my father's name, that was all I was to you." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the buzz of the lights. Jacob's shoulders sagged. The confident, charming man who once commanded every room looked suddenly small, like a boy who had gambled and lost. "I was wrong," he whispered. I thought I could have both security and passion, but I swear, losing you showed me the truth. I don't want Samantha. I want you. The desperation in his voice only made me feel more distant. He was fighting not for love, but for control over the narrative he had lost. I stood, pushing the bouquet gently aside. No, Jacob. You don't get to rewrite the story now. You chose who you were when you laughed that night, and I chose who I am when I walked away. We're finished. His mouth opened, but no words came. He stayed seated, hollow-eyed, as I turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving the white roses behind. That evening, I sat in a corner cafe near the office, hands still trembling around a paper cup of coffee. My emotions were a storm: anger, relief, sadness, all colliding at once. For years, Jacob's opinion had defined me. His approval, his attention, his promises. And now, for the first time, I had looked him in the eye and told him no. A voice pulled me from my thoughts. Rough day. I looked up. Roman, one of my colleagues from the marketing team, stood there with a lopsided smile. He was holding his own cup, steam curling above it. He wasn't flashy, not like Jacob. No perfectly rehearsed charm, just a man with kind eyes and an easy presence. You could say that, I murmured, offering a faint smile. He slid into the seat across from me. Don't worry, I won't ask. You don't look like you want to talk about it, but if you ever do, I'm a good listener. For some reason, that made me laugh, a small, genuine laugh that felt strange after so much heaviness. We talked about nothing important. A disastrous presentation he'd once given, the quirks of our boss, how overpriced the coffee was. His honesty was disarming. There were no masks, no hidden motives, just conversation. When we left the cafe, the city lights glowed around us. Roman walked beside me, not too close, not demanding anything, just there. And as we reached the corner where our paths split, he said, "See you tomorrow, Claire," with a smile that wasn't rehearsed, wasn't calculated. It was real. It was real. That night, lying in bed, I realized something profound. Jacob no longer had power over me. His ghost had knocked on my door, and I had closed it. For the first time in years, I felt free. A year later, Savannah called me back. Not Jacob, not the whispers, not the ghosts, but my mother's birthday. I couldn't ignore it. Atlanta had become my world, my job, my small apartment, the quiet rhythm of a life I built with my own hands. But Savannah was still home to two people who had loved me before I even knew what love meant. When the train pulled into the station, I spotted them immediately. My mother's eyes filled with tears the moment she saw me. She clutched me as though she feared I'd vanish again. My father's hug was long and wordless, his silence heavier than any speech. They had forgiven me, though the scars lingered. That weekend, family and neighbors gathered for a small celebration. Some eyed me with curiosity, others with a hint of respect. The whispers hadn't died completely. Savannah never forgets, but they no longer cut as deeply. I had survived them. The next morning, I ducked into a quiet cafe. The air smelled of roasted beans and warm pastries, so achingly familiar it almost hurt. That's when I saw him, Jacob. He stood at the counter, hand in hand with a woman whose beauty was unmistakable. Samantha Brooks. A ring glistened on her finger. For a moment, my chest tightened, but when he noticed me, something unexpected happened. He didn't smirk. He didn't gloat. His eyes flickered with tension, But then he forced a polite smile. "Claire," he said softly. Samantha's gaze sharpened. "Protective." I nodded calmly. "Jacob? Samantha?" There was an awkward pause before he introduced her as his wife. She extended her hand. I took it. "Congratulations," I said. "I hope you're happy." The words weren't bitter. They weren't hollow. To my surprise, I meant them. As we parted, I stepped out into the Savannah sun and felt lighter than I had in years. Seeing him didn't ignite rage or longing. It simply confirmed what I already knew. That chapter was closed. Back in Atlanta, my life unfolded in quiet, steady ways. Roman and I grew closer. There were no grand declarations, no desperate gestures, only dinners after work, conversations about our pasts, and laughter that came easily. He never tried to dazzle me with flowers or promises he couldn't keep. Instead, he offered honesty, and for me, that was more precious than any dowry, any security, any fairy tale. One evening, as the city lights glowed against the window of my apartment, Roman sat beside me, take-out boxers spread across the table. He reached for my hand, not to impress, not to claim, but simply because he wanted to. And for the first time in years, I didn't hesitate. I wanted it too. I thought about the wedding dress still hanging in my childhood closet. Once, it had symbolized everything I thought I needed. Now, it was just fabric. The real gown I wore was invisible, stitched together from choices, from courage, from the fragile but unshakable belief that I was worth more than a transaction. People in Savannah might always remember me as the bride who ran away. Let them. I knew the truth. I wasn't a runaway. I was a woman who refused to live a lie. My escape wasn't cowardice. It was courage. And because of that, for the first time, my future was real.